Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 151 based on novel. So let's start. Unfortunately, they have too many flaws and don't contain a lot of metal element. Otherwise, these flints would not be weaker than peak pseudo-celestial treasures. If they were a little larger, they could compare to a low-quality celestial treasure. Wang Lin looked at the flints with pity in his eyes. Although this pair of flints was formed naturally, they contained too many impurities. If they were refined, they probably wouldn't even be 10% of their current size. After putting them away, Wang Lin picked up the token and scanned it with his divine sense. The token immediately lit up and flashed 3 times before returning to normal. This is the Huan family's identification token. Wang Lin's divine sense carefully explored the token as he held. After a long time, his eyes became very serious. At first glance there was nothing special about this token, just something used as identification. No matter how many times Wang Lin probed it, it was still the same. However, Wang Lin still felt like something was wrong. He pondered for a bit before shouting, "Celestial Guard." The shadow under him quickly extended from his body, then it moved along his skin and wrapped itself around the token. Wang Lin closed his eyes and borrowed the Celestial Guard's cultivation to immediately see through the token. Shortly after, Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a gloomy expression. This token is made of normal materials, but there is a spell inside it. This spell is related to the soul, so I presume the Huan family knows that their family member is dead. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin put down the token and picked up the last item, the jade. This jade also had no divine sense on it. The only thing on it was the sliver of the dead person's resentment. The 3 of them must have been extremely afraid if they didn't even dare to check it with their divine senses. Otherwise, that sliver of resentment would have immediately been destroyed the moment their divine sense entered the treasure. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his divine sense entered the jade. The sliver of resentment was immediately destroyed. At the moment his divine sense entered, an invisible ripple spread out and began to scatter. When it was about to spread out of Wang Lin's house, his eyes suddenly lit up and rays of lightning shot out from his eyes. Among the waves of crackling sounds from the lightning, the ripple that the jade gave off was completely crushed by the lightning and dissipated. I wiped out the message spell that was left on the jade. Wang Lin carefully looked at the information recorded in the jade. After a long time, Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense and his eyes became brighter and brighter. It really is the Thousand Illusion Ruthless Domain, so the Huan family of Planet Thousand Illusion is like this. This jade contained the cultivation method for the Huan family's Thousand Illusion spells. However, there was a number of special restrictions placed on key parts, so even if an outsider obtained it, they wouldn't be able to learn it. The way to break the restrictions was the bloodline. If that was simply the case, it wouldn't have moved him so much. What really caught his attention was the message left in the jade by the Huan family member. On planet Yunxia, I discovered a vein of flame metal. I took 2 pieces of it. The mysterious light in his eyes was bright like a beacon. He stared at the jade and muttered, "A vein of metal element flint, vein." No wonder he was hunted until he was seriously injured. Anyone who found it would immediately kill everyone to seal the news. This confirms that the 3 of them didn't check this jade, or else they wouldn't have allowed me into this. Of course, I can't rule out the fact there might be something hidden behind all of this. Wang Lin pondered a bit and figured that the 3 of them probably didn't know about the metal vein. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he muttered to himself, "The heaven-defying bead is only missing the metal element. There's no way an entire vein of metal element flame metal isn't enough to complete it. According to Situ Nan, once the 5 elements are complete, it will recognize an owner. I just don't know what abilities it will have after. If the news of the metal element flamestone vein hasn't been exposed, it will be fine, but if it is, then whoever dares to fight with me for it will be killed by me." Wang Lin's eyes became cold and were filled with killing intent. Wang Lin put everything away, and his eyes shined while he pondered. "I just don't know where planet Yunxia is." Wang Lin opened his eyes and his divine sense immediately spread out. His divine sense swept across planet Ran Yun and descended upon where Sun Shi was. Sun Shi was sitting in the lotus position at the Sun family's ancestral home, ready to cultivate. However, he was startled and jerked his head when he heard Wang Lin's voice. "Engrave everything you know about the All-Heaven Star System's map and send it to me." Sun Shi's eyes lit up and he slightly nodded. He took out a piece of jade and concentrated on it for a moment. Then he immediately threw the jade and it disappeared into the distance. 10 days flashed by in an instant. Wang Lin had already obtained the jade and found out where planet Run Xia was. However, this planet was a bit far away. According to Wang Lin's calculations, if there were no delays, a round trip would take him several months. The jade had an introduction from Sun Shi. No cultivators lived on planet Run Xia, as the planet was filled with a poison that could kill cultivators. With the jade in hand, Wang Lin began to ponder. During these 10 days, he carefully studied the map and memorized it. At the same time, he also organized his treasures. On this day, Wang Lin stood up and walked out of the house. He then disappeared and reappeared tens of thousands of kilometers from the city before charging directly toward the atmosphere. Just at this moment, the Ran family's ancestor, carefree Zan Ren, and Sun Shi appeared before Wang Lin. The Ran family ancestor's expression was gloomy as he looked at Wang Lin and asked, "Are you leaving, fellow cultivator Shu?" Carefree Zan Ren's expression was different, and he was obviously hiding his anger. Only Sun Shi had a wry smile. When he heard that Wang Lin wanted the map, he had a bad feeling, but he didn't think that this Shu Mu actually had thoughts of leaving. Wang Lin coldly looked at the three of them and calmly said, "I will not break the promise I made. This trip at most will take 1 year, or only a few months." If it wasn't for the fact that they gave him all those celestial jades, Wang Lin wouldn't have bothered explaining to the three of them. After hearing Wang Lin's explanation, the Ran family's ancestor hesitated and said, "I don't know what urgent matter fellow cultivator Shu has. I wonder if 1 or 2 of us can follow." Carefree Shan Ren said, in a serious tone, "Please don't blame us, fellow cultivator Shu. The 3 of us gave you everything, and not even half a month later you want to leave planet Ran Yun. The 3 of us can't help but feel suspicion in our hearts. Fellow cultivator Shu, I believe in your character, but this matter," Sun Xiu wryly smiled. It was reasonable for the 3 of them to be like this. No matter who it was, if they had just taken out a majority of their property, they would be like this as well. Wang Lin frowned. Then his expression suddenly changed and he raised his head toward the sky. The expressions of the other 3 also changed slightly. They raised their heads to look at the sky. At this moment, outside of planet Ran Yun, Huan Dong was quickly closing in. His eyes were cold and showed a hint of arrogance as he charged straight toward planet Ran Yun. "Miss allowed me to handle this matter, so I must deal with it cleanly so that Miss will take notice of me. All those involved will be killed." The fanaticism in Huan Dong's eyes became even stronger. He turned into a ray of rainbow-colored light as he charged directly into planet Ran Yun's atmosphere and descended like a meteor. His descent was very arrogant. He spread out his divine sense like crazy and even infused it with celestial spiritual energy as it surrounded the planet. This incredible scene looked like a god was descending. At this moment, all of the cultivators on planet Ran Yun felt this powerful aura. This aura was especially arrogant, as if it was looking at ants as it swept the world. "I'm Huan Dong, a 2nd-grade family member of the Huan family from planet Thousand Illusion. All ascendant cultivators of planet Ran Yun, quickly come to see me." The cold voice was filled with arrogance. His voice rumbled like thunder across the planet. All of the cultivators below the ascendant stage were shocked by the voice, and some low-level cultivators even coughed out blood due to the shock. The youth under the rock was one of them. She was originally cultivating, but she was shocked by Huan Dong's divine sense infused with celestial spiritual energy. Her heart was damaged, so she coughed out blood and was immediately weakened. There were many cultivators like her on planet Ran Yun. The Ran family's ancestor, carefree Shan Ren, and Sun Shi suddenly turned extremely pale. The words Huan family were like an invincible sword that immediately pierced their hearts and caused their expressions to change greatly. They came. The Huan family came, Sun Shi muttered to himself with a bitter expression. He looked at Wang Lin with eyes filled with despair, but his gaze contained a glimmer of hope. The Ran family's ancestor was the same, and he looked at Wang Lin at the same time as carefree Shan Ren. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but his eyes revealed a hint of coldness. Taking someone's money to help them eliminate a disaster. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out like roaring thunder. None of it was leaked out as his divine sense locked onto the sky and transformed into one word. Scram. This one word caused thunder to appear and explode forth like crazy. Huandong had just charged through the atmosphere when the thunder descended upon him. His eyes were filled with killing intent and he shouted, courting death. With that, his hand formed a seal and a ray of white light gathered in his palm. A cold yin aura immediately began to gather and diffuse around the world. For a cultivator to reach the ascendant stage, their domain has to fuse with their origin soul. Although this person was from the Huan family, his limited talent made it so that he couldn't cultivate the thousand illusion ruthless domain. Instead, he cultivated the secondary cultivation method of the Hound family, 5-element intent art. His domain was the metal element of the 5 elements. Metal presented invincibility. His domain moved with his spell and his hand lit up. As this moment, it was as if that light had replaced the light from the sky or looked like it had absorbed all the light in the sky. Using the power of the light, he pressed down his hand. Wang Lin's expression remained the same. Lightning flashed through his eyes and spread across his whole body. He looked like a heavenly celestial that was in control of everything. He pointed with his finger and the finger of death shot out. This finger of death contained powerful lightning, so it was several times more powerful than man. If one looked at it carefully, it would make one feel like they were facing divine retribution. The finger of death turned into a ray black light as it shot out. Ripples appeared around it, and even the ripples had lightning crackling along them. The sound echoed and continued to expand before becoming bursts of thunder that were descending from the sky. The power of thunder around the finger of death was even more powerful. It was as if it was the wrath of the divine retribution lightning. With one finger, the light around Huandong's body disintegrated without any resistance. His expression immediately became pale and he quickly retreated. The power of that finger was too strong, to the point that even with his cultivation, his heart trembled. However, that ray of black light was like a black dragon. It charged directly at the retreating Huandong. Huandong slapped his bag of holding and a metal sword came out. At the same time, his right hand formed a seal and he pressed it down on the sword. He shouted, "Might of metal." The metal sword flew directly at the finger of death. An earth-shattering explosion suddenly erupted in the sky. A series of crackling sounds occurred when the finger of death collided with the metal sword before the metal sword shattered inch by inch until the sword disappeared. The finger of death pierced through space like a ray of lightning and arrived before Huandong. In the moment of crisis, Huandong's hand formed a seal and collided with the finger of death. A thunderous roar echoed throughout the area. Huandong's body trembled and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He retreated like he was a meteor, and as he did so, lightning flickered all over his body. Every time the lightning flickered, his injuries became worse. This lightning was extremely strange, as a portion of it surrounded his origin soul, making his origin soul struggle with extreme pain. His face was pale and filled with terror. What kind of thunder is this? What kind of cultivation does this person have? If just one spell was enough to seriously injure me like this, then this person is definitely not from planet Ranyun. I can't fight. I must quickly leave and report this back to Miss. Huandong slapped his leg and white light immediately began to shine from it. He became even faster, to the point that half of his body had already disappeared into the void and he was just about to teleport away. When Wang Lin was at the early stage of Ascendant, but his spells had already surpassed those of mid-stage Ascendant cultivators. The gap between the late stage of Ascendant and the earlier 2 stages was too great, but he could fight against mid-stage Ascendant cultivators. Now, although he was still at the early stage of Ascendant, the amount of celestial spiritual energy in his body was infinitely close to what mid-stage Ascendant cultivators had. He only needed an enlightenment in his domain to break into the mid-stage of Ascendant. Therefore, killing this Huandong was as easy as waving his hand. Wang Lin's eyes became cold after seeing Huandong trying to escape. Since he took their payment, he would need to get rid of the disaster. Sometimes it was impossible to tell what was right or wrong. Wang Lin gently slapped his bag of holding and the 7-star sword formation flew out as 7 rays of light. The 7-star sword formation was created by Sword Saint Ling Tianhu, so how could anyone defend against it? In the blink of an eye, the 7 swords charged out and arrived before Huandong the moment he was about to disappear into the void. The 7 souls from the swords immediately appeared and fused into one. The fused beast let out a roar and fiercely clawed at Huandong. A sound like mirror breaking echoed across the sky. Inside the void, Huandong's eyes were filled with terror, and the beast forcibly pulled Huandong out from the void. When he was out, the 7 swords surrounded Huandong, their tips pointing close to his body. If he moved even the slightly, the swords would penetrate his body and destroy his soul. From the moment Huandong appeared to when he was captured, everything happened extremely quickly, only several breaths of time had passed. The Ran family's ancestor sucked in a breath of cold air. Although he had personally felt Wang Lin's spells and knew that they were powerful, watching one as a third party was a completely different experience. There was dread in his eyes. Before, when Wang Lin attacked him, there was only the flash of a black shadow and he almost died. Now he realized that the black shadow wasn't Wang Lin's only spell. It seemed like every spell Wang Lin used was extremely terrifying. He completely made up his mind that he would never make an enemy out of his Shu Mu. The terror that carefree Shenren felt in his heart wasn't any weaker than what the Ran family's ancestor felt. He looked at the 7-star sword formation and took a deep breath. At this moment, he had no doubt that if Shu Mu wanted to kill him, he wouldn't be able to resist at all. I'm afraid his cultivation might be at the peak of the late stage of ascendant. Relatively speaking, Sun Shi was much more calm. In his heart, he thought that Wang Lin's cultivation level was extremely high. At this moment, he felt better and thought, if this Shu Mu is this strong, I need to make sure I have a good relationship with him. Huandong's scalp went numb. The 7 swords around him were like knives of death hanging above his head that could fall at any time. He stared at Wang Lin but also saw the other 3 behind him and shouted, Ran Xiefeng, Sun Shi, Zhao Chuawen, are you guys looking for death? The 3 silently pondered but didn't speak. However, there was a flash of coldness across their eyes. Huandong saw this cold light and secretly realized that something was wrong. He shouted, I'm only here on orders of the Huan family. If you kill me, the Huan family will send others to come. Do you think you can kill them all? With your mere power, if you resist my Huan family, you will die for sure. Release me and I'll seek a fair judgment for all of you. Although Huandong's words were to the Ran family's ancestor and company, his gaze would occasionally sweep to Wang Lin. It seemed like he had a certain amount of fear of the person who had captured him. He was also guessing what background he might have. After the Ran family's ancestor heard this, there was a hint of hesitation in his eyes, but it was immediately replaced with determination. He calmly said, Fellow cultivator Huan, I wonder why you came to planet Ranyun. Huandong stared at the Ran family's ancestor and then looked at the other 2. Huandong smiled. So the Huan family member was really killed by you 3-4 years ago. Ran Xiefeng, Sun Shi, Zhao Chuawen, your family's bloodlines have reached their end. The Ran family's ancestor's expression became gloomy as he turned to Wang Lin and said, Fellow cultivator Shu, how about handing this person over to us? Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he nodded. Named Shu, who exactly are you and why do you want to get involved with my Huan family's matter? Huandong suddenly turned toward Wang Lin and snapped, My Huan family's ancestor has already returned. Do you really think you can fight against my Huan family's ancestor? I'll let you go, and I promise not to mention you to my lady. I will definitely not drag you into this matter. The Huan family's miss. Wang Lin looked at Huandong. Sun Shi explained, Fellow cultivator Shu, you don't know about this, but the Huan family's ancestor brought back a woman from the Alliance star system. He accepted her as his disciple and will be using the bloodline ritual to change her bloodline. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and asked, What's the Huan family's ancestor's cultivation level? Huan Hong relaxed a bit and said, The ancestor's cultivation has already reached the 2nd step. Several thousand years ago, He was already at the yin and yang stage. Wang Lin looked at the Ran family's ancestor and company with a smile that was not a smile. There was a hint of mockery in his gaze, causing the Ran family's ancestor to lower his head. Wang Lin calmly said, "I'll be handing him to you guys. This has nothing to do with me anymore." Then he waved his hand and the 7-star sword formation circled around Huan Dong, sealing his origin soul. Then the swords flew back to Wang Lin's side. "I still have important matters to attend to and will return in a few months." With that, Wang Lin turned around and left. Huan Dong's eyes revealed despair and he shouted, "If you kill me, my miss will not let you guys go. Lady Huan Mai is the ancestor's only disciple, and she will be my Huan family's head in the future." Wang Lin suddenly stopped and turned around. He looked at Huan Dong and calmly asked, "Huan Mai? What was her original name?" Huan Dong sneered and said, "If you let me go, I'll tell you." Before he could finish, Wang Lin frowned and reached out. Huan Dong's body immediately flew into Wang Lin's hand. Wang Lin pressed his hand on Huan Dong's head and then a ray of lightning flashed across his eyes. The shadow behind him quickly moved through his arm and completely surrounded Huan Dong's body. Soul Search. Huan Dong's cultivation was, after all, at the mid-stage of Ascendant, so if he wanted to use the Soul Search spell, he had to borrow the power of the Celestial Guard. Huan Dong's memories were like pieces of fragments as Wang Lin looked through them with the help of the Celestial Guard. As he looked, Huan Dong's body began to shake violently and his eyes revealed a painful struggle. As he searched through the memories, Wang Lin suddenly locked onto a beautiful woman, and his expression became gloomy. He loosened his hand and hit Huan Dong's body. Huan Dong's body collapsed and his origin soul was caught by Wang Lin. Wang Lin threw Huan Dong's origin soul into the 1 billion soul flag. The sudden scene caused the Ran family's ancestor and company to become startled, and they each had their own thoughts. Liu Mai, Wang Lin frowned, and scenes from back on planet Suzaku flashed across his eyes, including what happened back in the Suzaku tomb. That woman had a great stroke of luck and came to the All-Heaven star system. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time. He looked up at the sky and didn't speak as he left. The Ran family's ancestor and company no longer dared to block him. They helplessly looked at Wang Lin's figure gradually disappear. After leaving the atmosphere, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the star compass appeared. It turned into a silver dragon and disappeared into space. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position on the silver dragon and muttered to himself, "This Liu Mai woman doesn't have any deep enmity with me. If she knows what's good for her, everything will be fine. If she still acts like she did back on planet Suzaku, then I can only kill her. As for the Huan family's ancestor, I don't have to fight him to the death. If he appears, I can just leave with the help of the Celestial Guard. Also, I'm by myself, while he has a family. If I can't kill him, I'll kill some of his family members for revenge." After he made up his mind, Wang Lin no longer thought about Liu Mai's matter but focused on the map in his mind. He was heading toward planet Yunxia. The metal element flame metal vein on planet Yunxia is extremely important to me, as it is a perfect opportunity to complete the heaven-defying bead. I won't allow anyone to stop me. If anyone dares to try to steal it, I'll kill them. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he flew through the stars. Along the way, Wang Lin didn't rest at all. 1 month later, planet Yunxia appeared in this divine sense far in the distance. Huan Dong's death was detected right away by the Huan family. As a great family on a main cultivation planet, a family member being slaughtered caused quite a stir. The Huan family's ancestor was furious when he heard this. However, his eyes suddenly lit up and he suppressed the Huan family's proposal to get revenge on planet Ranyun. Instead, he pushed up the date for the bloodline ritual. The family member who was killed was under Huan Mai, so after the bloodline ritual, let Huan Mai personally handle it. No one dared to oppose the Huan family's ancestor. Although everyone knew that it was the ancestor letting Huan Mai show her might, none of them dared to say more. This matter was settled. Seal planet Ranyun with a planet sealing formation so that no one can escape. Huan Mai will deal with this after the bloodline ritual. The moment Huan family moved, the sky changed colors. With the planet sealing formation, planet Ranyun was a caged bird. As for Liu Mai, After hearing that Hua Dong had died, there wasn't any change to her expression. It was as if the person that died was merely an ant. Liu Mai looked up at the blue sky and whispered, "Planet Ranyun. Is it a battle to show my might to the Huan family? According to Master, during the bloodline ritual, he will transfer me some of his cultivation. At the price of lowering his cultivation by 1 grade for 200 years, he will help me reach the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. As for entering the Yin and Yang stage, it will depend on my own understanding. After that, the difference between me and that man from Suzaku will become larger. In the later years, once I reach the second step and see that person again, I don't know what kind of mood he will be in. However, by then he will be an ant, just like that Huan Dong." Liu Mai faintly smiled. Her smile was very beautiful and would make anyone's heart skip a beat. A pair of guards that were patrolling by saw her smile and were both startled. Obsession and fanaticism suddenly filled their eyes. These looks were shockingly similar to Huan Dong's. The 10,000 illusion heavenly devil Dao can put anything in the world under an illusion. The gentle breeze blew by, causing her black hair to flow. She raised her finger to grab hold of her hair. Just at this moment, waves of fluctuations came from inside her bag of holding. Although the fluctuations were confined inside the bag of holding, they were filled with resentment. This resentment slowly filled up the bag. Liu Mai lowered her head and touched her bag of holding. The fluctuations inside lessened, but the resentment inside became even stronger. Liu Mai softly said, "Be obedient. You can't come out right now." She bit her finger, stuck it inside the bag, and then revealed a painful expression. The fluctuations gradually disappeared completely, and the resentment inside was forcibly suppressed. Why do you do this?" An ancient voice came from behind Liu Mai. The Huan family's ancestor slowly condensed and appeared. He looked at Liu Mai's bag of holding and frowned. "I've already told you before that it is too vicious and you shouldn't touch it." Liu Mai pondered and didn't speak. The Huan family's ancestor shouted, "Kill that thing right now and don't raise it anymore. If you continue to act like this, you will ruin your Dao heart. How will you get past the first step and get through the Yin and Yang stage?" Liu Mai raised her head toward the Huan family's ancestor and softly said, "Master, Liu Mai knows what to do. Please don't talk about this anymore, all right?" The Huan family's ancestor looked at Liu Mai. After a long time, he let out a sigh and said, Why must you be like this?" As for Wang Lin, the silver dragon was charging straight toward planet Yunxia. From a distance, planet Yunxia was dark gray due to a veil of thick fog covering it. It was so thick that divine sense couldn't pierce through it. In addition, there were bursts of roars coming from the fog, as if warning everyone who was passing by to not enter. The silver dragon brought Wang Lin outside of planet Yunxia and stared at the thick fog. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he slapped his bag of holding and the 7-star sword formation flew out. They began to rapidly rotate, creating a powerful, spiral force. Surrounded by this force, Wang Lin took a step forward and put the star compass away. He entered the fog with the 7-star sword formation piercing through it like a stake. The sword formation spun rapidly, pushing away all the fog before Wang Lin. However, this fog was too thick. Even with this method, the fog before Wang Lin looked endless. If one was looking from the outside, it looked like the fog had swallowed Wang Lin. Even if someone passed by, they wouldn't notice that there was someone rapidly descending through the depths of the fog. Wang Lin's expression was neutral. With the vortex created by the sword formation, none of the fog could get close to him. However, at this moment, his surroundings were completely gray and he couldn't see a thing. His divine sense was also blocked, so he could only rely on his instincts and continue flying down. After a long time, the fog before him gradually thinned out. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he immediately accelerated. He charged out of the dense fog like a meteor, and the scene that came into view before him caused his pupils to suddenly shrink. The sky was covered in dense fog, so no sunlight could get through, making the earth completely dark. However, this didn't affect the sight of a cultivator. The earth was filled with cracks, making it seem like there were many big mouths trying to devour everything. A powerful aura of death filled the heavens and earth. This death aura wasn't coming from one person or thing, but from the entire planet. The crack-filled ground was covered in these almost rotten tentacles that were slowly swaying. At first glance, it looked like the earth was covered in hair. This sight would make people's hearts become heavy and suppressed. Waves of roars were coming from planet Yunxia, and a majority of them were coming from underground. This is a completely wasted cultivation planet, Wang Lin silently pondered as he flew forward with his divine sense spread out, looking for the metal vein. As he flew, he saw the ruins of several cities. It was obvious that this place was once an extremely prosperous place, but everything was in ruins now. The tentacles from the ground were wrapped around the ruins of the cities. One couldn't help but feel their hair stand up when taking in this sight. As he silently flew across the sky, Wang Lin's gaze looked across the cities. At this moment, all of the tentacles, which were originally swaying, suddenly stopped. Then they all rapidly shrank back and disappeared from the surface. At this moment, a heaven-shattering roar came from the distant horizon. A red cloud that covered everything charged toward Wang Lin like crazy. There was a massive fierce beast riding on the red cloud. This beast looked like a dragon, but it wasn't a dragon. Its long body was tens of thousands of feet long and its head was triangular. It could be said to resemble a snake, but its whole body was covered in hair. As this beast roared and quickly rushed over, even the fog in the sky split apart as if there was a pair of invisible hands opening a path. When Wang Lin saw the beast with his divine sense, his expression changed greatly and he exclaimed, "Moongazer serpent." The ancient god had a very deep impression of this beast. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. Without a word, he immediately descended and went underground through one of the cracks. At the same time, the information about the Moongazer serpent from ancient god Tu Sai flashed through his mind. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly revealed a mysterious light. A Moongazer serpent isn't something born from nature, it's a unique parasite that lives in an ancient god's body. When an ancient god is alive, they absorb the blood of the ancient god to survive, but they can't leave the ancient god's body. Sometimes they were used like magical treasures by the ancient gods. Once an ancient god dies, the parasite dies as well. However, there is a rare chance that the Moongazer serpent doesn't die but is able to leave the ancient god's body. The stronger the ancient god, the stronger the Moongazer serpent. All of the Moongazer serpents inside ancient god Tu Sai died, so they didn't appear. However, a Moongazer serpent appeared here. Could this place have the remains of an ancient god? But if that is really the case, this makes no sense either. How could no one in the All-Heaven star system have recognized it? If a powerful cultivator saw this creature, they wouldn't simply let it go. Wang Lin was inside the crack in the ground, looking at the red cloud in the sky. The Moongazer serpent's giant body gradually flew off into the distance, and he began to silently ponder. At this moment, on a very ordinary-looking cultivation planet in the Alliance star system, two women wearing colorful clothes entered the capital of a mortal country. Each of the women had a ball of bright light floating above their right hand. These balls gave off a powerful killing aura. While the two women were floating in the sky, one of them shouted, "Sichu Nan, come out here." A curse came out from the capital, followed by a man in purple rushing out. He didn't even look at the two women and immediately fled. "Sichu Nan, the sect master has already given the order. You are wanted on planet Luanfeng and all the planets under it. You won't be able to escape." That man was Sichu Nan. He was currently in a sorry state and shouted back, "Tell that smelly girl that if she keep forcing this old man, I will engrave the scene of her flirting onto 10,000 jades and spread it across the Alliance star system. Damn it, chased me for almost a century, it's so vexing." Me. The two women immediately fused the two balls of light in their hands. The balls immediately melted together and turned into the figure of a very attractive woman. "This time I won't let you escape." The woman's figure took a step and raised her jade-like hand. The sky suddenly darkened and even the earth began to shake. The heavens and earth were quickly compressed. Sichu Nan let out a strange cry and a flame seemed to burn inside his body as he charged out. Although he had charged out, he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and his face immediately became pale. "Smelly girl, just you wait. This old man will make sure that all the cultivators and mortals in the Alliance star system see your flirty behavior. This old man will make you very famous in the Alliance star system. This old man will keep his word. Sichu Nan coughed out another mouthful of blood and fled like crazy. At most I'll just go into closed door cultivation again, you just wait. Sichu Nan's eyes were bloodshot. He had already made up his mind to go into closed door cultivation again. If he couldn't reach the Nirvana Scryer stage, he wouldn't come out. This video will end here.